Welcome to r/MaliciousCompliance, where people conform to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. Hit the like and subscribe, and let's begin. We have 3 great stories for you today. The first story. We are going to have to throw them away. In the late 90s, I volunteered at a small private school. They had little money for extras like computers, or computer teachers. I don't know much about computers, but I knew how to plug them in, and I know how to put one together, if you gave me all the parts. So naturally, I got asked to be the director of the computer lab. It had 2 very old computers, and naturally, it was a volunteer job. I had very little money and a lot of time. They knew that I wanted a job. They told me that after I build it up, they would put a salary in the budget. I taught classes the difference between the components, some file structure, some basic, some DOS, and how rebooting your computer usually solves whatever problems you have. The concept of drivers. The thing is, the director of the school hated fundraising, so my salary never got added to the budget, and the director often kept himself busy doing other things, useless things. One Sunday morning, he finds me and tells me to wish him luck. If today goes right, we're going to have a huge computer lab. He comes back from his meeting with a huge smile. I did it. I convinced a bank to donate to us their old computers. Okay, great. Now I have to set up and maintain 50 new for us computers. I can't wait. The computers got delivered the next week, all terminals. These were bank computers. I had no idea how to get them running. They didn't have the hard drives or operating systems. The keyboard and mouse ports were different. They were not the standard PS2 at the time. I think they somehow connected to a server, which did not get donated. Their monitors only did text, no graphics. They were useless to us. We needed something to run America Online, Encarta, maybe SimCity, educational stuff. I had no idea how to get these to work. I tried asking the director, telling him that the 50 computers were useful. He got super annoyed. I'm sure they can be helpful in some way. They must be worth something. Figure it out. Because if you can't, we're going to have to throw them away. He thought he was threatening me. He did not think I'd throw out 50 computers. After all, he worked hard to get them. I did not hesitate at all. My next class, I had screwdrivers for everyone. We disassembled everything. If it had a screw, we unscrewed it. The class figured out what each piece was, and then the class activity was to take the pieces to the dumpster. By the end of the day, there was nothing left. The next day, the director asked me where the computers were. Oh, you were right. They were useful. The students took them apart, learned all about the different components, and then threw them out, just like you said we should. His face turned all sorts of colors, and he stormed out. What I didn't tell him is that I saved the RAM from the garbage. I mean, after all, it wasn't the garbage, right? And sold them on the online classifieds. Remember Yahoo Classifieds? For $20 a piece. There were 2 in each computer, so I got $2,000. I guess they were useful after all. The second story. No pens? I've got some for you. I was a union steward working with a group of workers whose boss was a Napoleon in miniature. He micromanaged everything. One day, he decided his units were using too many pens. He restricted ordering pens to 1 box per unit per month. This was a psychiatric facility, so everyone, not just the workers, used the pens. They would accidentally go home in people's pockets all the time. Nurses started bringing in spare pens from home. Then we did a meeting, at their request. I ordered 500 union pens, bright red, with our logo on it. We put up flyers everywhere saying, "Need a pen? Ask your union steward." Doctors, nurses, social workers, patients, everyone had union pens. It took 2 days for management to cave. 2 years later, managers were still complaining about it. The third story. A supervisor told me I was unimportant, so I acted unimportant. A little background info. I work in a satellite office outside of the country where my company is headquartered. We are all on work visas, except for some custodial staff. Up until about last week, we had about 4 employees to cover a very dense load of administrative work. 1 new employee arrived last week, so now we have 5. During the time this all took place, we had 1 officer that covered legal matters, 1 that covered budgetary matters, 1 that did HR, and me, who gets to do just about everything else. Without saying too much about my job, let's just say that the entire world rests on my shoulders in terms of what I am supposed to cover. Story. My work visa expired about a month ago, and I applied for it about 3 weeks before it expired. The application needed to be accompanied with some kind of authentication by my supervisor, who is notoriously pompous and inefficient. Even though she never answers my texts or phone calls, I managed to follow up on the authentication submission, twice, and both times she said to me that she had more important matters to attend to. About 3 days before my work visa expired, I followed up again, and she said that the issuing office would inform the company when my documents were ready. Being a boomer, I don't think she knew that I could literally check the status of the application. It was never sent until about 2 weeks after my visa had expired. Feeling very not important and not willing to risk illegally working in a foreign country, I turned off my work phone and went home. I informed the other higher-ups of what was going on and told them that I won't be able to come to work since I was technically in the country on a tourist visa. Anything that was pressing, I was able to do from home. However, a huge meeting was coming up, and while it should have initially been something my supervisor was tasked with, I got stuck with sharing it with her. Surprise. A few weeks go by and the people involved in this meeting are getting antsy because nothing is being done on our side. Shocker. And the supervisor starts panic emailing me about being more involved. I told her that I'd help and only did exactly what she asked me to do to help. I gave no guidance on anything, as my role at the company was not important enough to be any more engaged than that. Anyway, she spent more time trying to delegate tasks and doing paperwork, trying to give me access to portals she already had access to, than actually doing the work. The only time she is efficient is when she is trying to pass work off onto other people. We ended up missing a bunch of deadlines and had to cancel quite a few of the meetings, and people aren't pleased. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm just an unimportant tourist. I hope you enjoyed these stories. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to know when the new videos come out.